we're talking about systematizing. You need a system in place to make this happen. So here are the different components in the systematized category. Of course, we're going to start with eating plants. You could lose weight all sorts of ways, right? There's the keto diet, there's an Atkins diet, there's a paleo diet, there's drugs, there's all sorts of ways to lose weight. They're not all equally healthy. And I see in the literature that the healthiest way to lose weight, of course, is with a plant-based diet. Here are some of the side effects of eating plants. A whole food plant-based diet is the only diet associated with like a complete reversal of advanced stage cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. More evidence came out this week as well. There's just always new research on this extraordinary advantage. It's also associated with lower body mass index and body fat, lower overall mortality and mortality from ischemic heart disease, reduced medication requirements. I'm telling you, in graduate school nutrition, and I sat in on my ex-husband's medical school, and I've worked with lots of doctors, and I know in medical school too, we are taught to try to slow down the progression of disease, to try to minimize having to increase the dose of medications. Rather than that, my clients get off their medications. In fact, when I'm starting with a client who's on specifically a high blood pressure med or a high blood sugar med, I have them alert their physician ahead of time and say, look, I'm going on a really radical program. I'm going to lose weight really quickly. I'm going to have to monitor my medications really closely because blood pressure will drop really quickly. I had a student in my class this year that actually got off of, he was 30 years on, I think 2 or 3 different high blood pressure meds. In a week, he got off of all of them. This is like, results are typical. It's unbelievable. This is not what I learned in school was possible, but I see it every single day. It's so extraordinary. Plant-based diets also associated, of course, with sustainable weight management, with a reduced incidence of hypertension, hyperlipidemia, hyperglycemia, reduced risk of certain cancers a lot more multifactorial, of course, reduced inflammatory markers from obesity. You reduce your obesity, all those cascades, these hormonal cascades that take place, and all this lipotoxicity and all the stuff that happens from having the excessive fat, which is what is associated with these chronic diseases and why it's important to maintain a healthy weight. There's a lot of health risks of obesity. So this reduces those inflammatory markers as well. So I always say a plant-based diet supports living longer, health span, not just living longer, lifespan. What does a plant-based diet look like? This. I want you to eat a diet of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, mushrooms, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices in infinite tasty combinations. There's so many wonderful ways to eat plants. And even if you're on weight loss mode, which is not fun, I will tell you right now, it's not fun. We have to go through a period of a little bit of a deficit, that there's no way around that. But in that time, you don't have to suffer. You get to enjoy delicious cuisine. You get to enjoy your meals. It's really, really a win-win situation. And you get more satiety on a plant-based diet, one of the perks of doing it with plants. I prioritize these foods into this mnemonic called the 6 Daily Threes. And if you were here with me last week for my other talk on food as medicine, we talked about the 6 Daily Threes. If you go to my website, plantbaseddietitian.com, this is there expounded upon. It's in my book. It's everywhere. So the 6 Daily Threes, basically, these are 6 food groups that I recommend prioritizing. So especially when you are on weight loss mode and you have to have a deficit, there's limited landscape, or there's limited amount of real estate for what you're eating in a day. So you want to prioritize the foods that are the most nutritionally dense and that have things that are nutritionally unique. So these are the 6 categories. I also implement this with maintenance and lifelong healthy eating. These are foods to prioritize. So there's reasons for that. Each category here offers a wide range of nutrients that you can't really get elsewhere. And so they're really important to consider. Now, you don't have to do anything perfect. You don't have to do all 3 servings every day. I don't think there is a such thing as a 100% RDI diet. There's no way anyone can eat perfectly. And I don't think that should ever be the goal. I think perfection has been an obstacle for so many people. And I try to just get rid of that whole concept. So here's a way to just think about it, just to look at your plate and try to make sure you're getting these on a regular basis. The first group is the cruciferous and leafy green vegetable category. That's why I sign off on my podcast with leafy green love and all my social media with leafy green love. I sign all my books with a leafy green marker. Leafy greens are Amazing. And, they have all these phytonutrients in there that are very unique, that are extremely powerful anti-inflammatories, antioxidants, antimicrobials. They are cardioprotective. They reduce risk for cancer. They have all of the benefits and the most nutritional bang for your caloric buck, I would say, for fruits and vegetables. By the way, everyone agrees about fruits and vegetables. The American Institute for Cancer Research, Harvard, the USDA, everyone says half your plate should be fruits and vegetables. Half your diet should be fruits and vegetables. So especially make sure you're getting the leafy greens, and you're also getting the other colored vegetables too. They have their own other category. This is the reds and oranges and yellows. You get all the carotenoids, the whites, the allium family, like the leeks and onions and garlic. So extraordinarily healthy. So, eating a rainbow every day, that's a great way to think about it. Just, are you getting all the colors? I always look at my plate and say, oh, do I have all the colors? What am I missing? I'll make sure I get that in the next meal, right? Just so you're getting a wider range. All those colors themselves, the pigments themselves, represent a class of nutrients. So exciting. It's so beautiful. Mother Nature is so beautiful. And then fruits, of course, fruits are extraordinarily helpful too. The servings are about a cup. With the greens, there's so much that they just go from enormous amounts to tiny amounts when they're cooked. So it's about half a cup cooked or a cup raw. And so same with the vegetables, and for fruits, about a cup or one medium piece. And then there's a lovely legumes. So this is all lentils, all the beans. Hummus should be a food group. The tofu, soy products, and tempeh, edamame, those products as well count in this category. So healthy, so full of these wonderful essential amino acids, different types of fiber that are so good for our gut microbiome. They're really, really important. And so recommending about 1 to 1.5 cups of those a day. And then the nuts and seeds, we need some fats in our diet. I think I'll talk about that now. Like, we need 1 to 2 ounces of nuts and seeds a day, which is also like 30 to 40 grams. And all the nuts and seeds, there's an abundance of evidence in the literature that nuts and seeds are, helpful cardio-metabolically, and they're really helpful for weight loss and weight maintenance and a lot of other reasons. And there's all these wonderful, unique nutrients in nuts and seeds, like ellagic acid and L-arginine, and and some of the nuts and seeds have different unique properties. Like almonds have a lot of calcium, and Brazil nuts have a lot of selenium, and the hemp seed, chia seed, flaxseed walnuts have a lot of omega-3s. So mix and match. When I make my dressings, which I'm doing a dressings and sauces class this week. I always use a nut and seed. I mix them all up, and then I blend them together with all these flavors and make a delicious dressing or sauce. And that's how I deal with it with my clients that have the tendency to overeat nuts and seeds, because nuts and seeds are no longer packaged in their natural container. And so we could just grab in a bag and get a whole handful of them and eat them way too easily. So a lot of people have that issue, especially with weight loss. So I have my clients kind of blend them up into sauces and dressings. And it also, the added benefit is that when you pour that over vegetables, you're going to absorb the fat soluble nutrients in those vegetables because of the fat in there. So it's kind of a win-win situation. I don't recommend avoiding fat for 2 reasons. There's a lot of people that say just no fat and you can eat as much as you want. And that perpetuates 2 problems that I've seen and worked with my clients over the years with. One is something I call dietary fat phobia, and it's a fear of fat. And fat is important. We need a little bit of fat in our diet every day. The best place to get them is nuts and seeds. And, some avocado is okay, and some tofu is okay. Those things are really healthy, but especially nuts and seeds. But we need some essential fats, and that's why I always say nuts and seeds. And then the other second component that avoiding fat does is, because the idea of I could eat as much as I want if I don't have fat, it perpetuates a binge purge cycle that I work with a lot of my clients to heal from that. So the idea is not to get as full as you can and stuff yourself as full as you can with low fat. The idea is to eat a balanced diet and to not crave or be comfortable with that extra full feeling. It's to get comfortable with eating enough food and a well-balanced diet. And you still get plenty of satiety by eating a lower fat, but some fat diet. And it's important for long-term health. The last group on the 6 daily threes are mushrooms. And I recently added this about a year ago, because I used to have this as movement and exercise. And that's, of course, important on a regular basis to move more. But mushrooms called out to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I learned so much about mushrooms. They are incredible for your immune function, which is so important, especially now, but always, but especially now we're talking about immunity. And they're so amazing. They're magical mushrooms. They're like interconnected under the earth and they communicate together. There's all these like incredible things about mushrooms that I encourage you to explore. But the ongoing kind of recommendation that I've learned is 3 servings or 3 different species a week. Try to incorporate those. I try to get 3 servings a day because I love them so much. And they're so great culinarily speaking. They're just so much fun and magic about mushrooms.